Let's start with our new chapter today, Configurable Workday Security. We have covered some part of security in the earlier chapter as well, but this is going to be in-depth and in detail. The agenda of this chapter is going to be Workday security impacts everywhere and everything. Whose job is it anyways? Workday security groups, security structure, domain permissions, security structure business processes, common security task names and reports, common security task names, security real-world examples. Security platform nodes. So for example, to determine whether a user is allowed to run a given task, consider the following. So is this user allowed to run this task? So is this user in a security group which has permissions to a domain containing this task? So whenever you're asking about a particular task, you'll have to consider the username, the security group that it's part of, the security policy, the domain, and the task. The combination of these would kind of simplify your quest to see whether a user can access a particular task or an action that one needs to take, and how would you go around it. So this simple slide really shows the depth of security that a user would be exposed with or challenged with. For example, a user is an employee itself. The employee itself is part of a security group called employee S self, and he has a security push policy of only view tasks for oneself only, and limited visibility of other employees. What task does the domain reside in, or functional areas, and what is this task that you're trying to run on behalf of the user, or the user itself is trying to run. Workday security groups, configurable Workday security framework is where you can get, where you can grant access via security groups and security policies. This does not cover tenant security or authentication policy. Configurable security ensures only those users who are authorized will have the access to the data or be able to perform the transactions. All data in Workday, such as reports, people data, transaction tasks, are secured via security groups assigned to them. Groups are assigned to security policy on the domain, business process, or the sharing permissions of a report. So non-configurable, not in scope security, authentication, who you say you are, audit, what did you do, data masking, can sensitive data be masked, data purging, can sensitive data be purged, tenants set up for security, can you configure authentication details for the tenant. So these are not covered in scope, but if you need more information on these areas, there are these community links directly directing you to these areas if you need to configure or set them up. So security assignments, workers are assigned a default role at hire or via job changes during the role assignment setup. Roles should be reviewed when job changes occurs. Roles and user groups should be removed during termination step. Workday has an excellent data access protection unless one screws it up. So by roles, what I mean, roles of, say, manager, HR partner, compensation partner, manager's manager, benefits administrator, and so on are different roles that we assign to positions on a given supervisory organizations. When we move worker from one position to another and a new person is hired on that position, the role assignment task is part of change job as well. It will ask you when you are terminating somebody or moving workers from one super org and they have existing roles. As a part of process work, they will ask the relevant group for role assignments for that position. The Workday security group assignments. So we go through this process like workers, roles, groups, domains. And how do we plan it? So first we identify users, plan what access users will need based on individual needs and position, etc. Create security groups, identify an existing security group or create a new one. Edit security policies, grant, view, modify permissions to domains, or grant business process permissions. Activate pending changes. So activate changes in order for them to take effect. And then test changes and verify that the changes may provide the expected access. So types of security groups in Workday. One is role-based, assigned to an organization via position that worker is in. Access is inherited from superior organization unless directly assigned to a support. Example, HR partner role assigned to a specific organization such as sales. Another type is user-based, assigned directly to user and not constrained or limited to specific organization. Example, an HR administrator user-based group which allows you to perform transactions on any organization. Job-based, automatically assigned based on user job-related criteria. An example of job-based could be manager or manager's manager. So domains, group of similar tasks and data. Overall parent domain and child domains. We've discussed that, how the child parent policy and child policy functionality works. Parent domain policy controls access permissions on all child domains except if the child domain policy is edited and permissions are assigned separately. Domain security policy refers to the data or tasks that a security group can access or edit in that domain. For example, let's look at a domain. Go to a task called view domain. If I type domain, we should change. And here we can see the subdomains or the child policies of compensation changes. If we look at the domain security policy, edit permissions, we can see the report task permissions assigned to which users and the integration permissions that are assigned here. With the permissions of view or modify in the report task permissions and get input permissions for integration permissions. Security structure, domain permissions. So if you go to domain security policy and do edit permissions, we can see the domain security policy lists the security groups that can view or modify the data for this domain access is configured at the domain level, not for each field. Security structure for functional areas. So if we can go to maintain functional areas. And here on a higher level, we can enable and disable functional areas, look at the domains included, and look at the business policies of that functional area or the Workday solution for that. So the first column is all the Workday solution names, then what functional area do they reside in, a bit of description, either it's enabled or disabled, and what are the included domains that we can see here, and what are the included business process for this particular Workday solution / functional area. For example, if I want to do Workday student is enabled, HCM is enabled for advanced compensation, backpack hub service, then core financials, expenses, grant, procurement, payroll for Canada, US, UK, France, is banking and settlement. It is enabled. These are the included domains in it. These are the business processes for it. So functional area, collection of domains with similar functionality, task or data such as personal information, compensation, or studio. Report name is maintain functional areas that we just accessed. The new functional areas need to be enabled if not in scope at implementation. Search using domain security policy for functional areas to view edit security if you don't remember the domain name. Then I can have all the parent and child policies for this core compensation functional area. I can look at the status, the policy name, the description, the report task permission, and the integration permissions. Again, the relationship between parent and child, I can use parent permission or I can give specific permissions to the child policies as well. Security structure, business processes. So business process, security policy defines who can initiate, approve, and view transactions. You can add, remove the policy and the permissions by going to the business process, go to the related action, go to business process policy, and either view and edit. For example, BP on boarding, go to related action button, go to business process policy, either view or edit. And here for each individual actions and tasks, we can set up different security groups who can do what, and then the overall policy restrictions and the attachment settings in business processes. Steps in business process definition are routed to security groups, not individual users. Configurable security allows you to control which security group can participate in each type of business process. Add, remove groups that can initiate, approve, view, delegate the business processes for that type of transaction. And this is also where you can set permissions for employee views of comments and enable attachments. Security structure for business process security policies for functional areas. This report allows you to view which groups have access to the business process. Business process policies for functional areas. And I can either select one of the business processes or I can leave it blank. It will show me a summary of all the business processes in this functional area. This way, earlier we saw the domain security policies. Now with this, task, we can see all the business process security policies. So for each and every business process here on the left side, acknowledge compensation statement, who has access to this, change default compensation, then it has a child policy of change benefit for life events, review COBRA eligibility event, check budget staffing, who can start the process, and so on. All your parent and child policies will be listed here. And you can set up who can do what action or step, and you can edit it from here as well. From the bottom, you have the edit permissions. Some notes, so every user must be assigned to a group to have any access. Users must be assigned to specific domains and business processes, security policy if they need to modify data in the UI by initiating or approving a transaction. When you link a security group to a domain through the security policy, you have to specify whether the group has view or modify access to the domain. For integrations, access to the domain is controlled by get or put permissions. So your configurable security is either customer-defined security groups or Workday-defined content groups. So in your customer-defined security groups, you can configure access to securable items by adding security groups to domain security policies. You can configure access to workflow steps by configuring business processes security policies with security groups. You can create your own security groups. For Workday-defined content groups, you cannot change what is delivered item. You cannot change what delivered items are in domain. You cannot add new business process types. A note, although you can create a new domain nor move delivered items between domains, Workday provides 50 custom domains in the system functional area that allows you to configure security permissions for custom items such as dashboards and custom objects. Security policy change.
So it's the 50 custom domains across all applications because it's common for HCM, financial management, student and everything, right? So is this 50 just for HCM or is it across every?
This is across the entire Workday tenant.
Okay, so if I'm going to use both HCM and financial management, then I have to be mindful of using too much for one.
True.
Okay.
But the delivered security groups or even the you don't have a limit for security groups. 50 custom domains in the system functional area, such as, so there are about 96 Workday solutions for different functional areas. Some of the functional areas would be customizable, some of them would not be.
Okay, how do we determine that? Looking at this functional area, how do we determine which is customizable and which is not?
That's a very good question. Let me circle back to you on this. For example, this Workday designer. Now, let me circle back to you on this. So all security policy changes, whether on a domain or a business process, are initially saved as inactive. They need to be activated via the task, activate pending security policy changes. And we have the capability to roll back to the previous security configuration if we believe that the changes that we applied are not as per the requirement. So security policy activate, pending security policy changes can be rolled back as well. Common security task names and reports. So view domains. From here, you can search for a domain, activated, updated its security policy, which means adding, removing security groups permissions to the domain. View security group for user, list all security groups assigned to the user. Compare permissions of two security groups, compares domains and transactions, transactional business processes, access for two-way security groups. So for example, I want to say where say HR partner, and I would like to compare with HR partner, senior HR partner. And what this will do is give me all the business process types missing from the first security group, HR partner, which is available in the second. So create position is not available with HR partner. And then these are the common domain security policies that both of the groups has. And these are the common business process types that both of these groups have. Another comparison could be, say, senior HR partner and say HR administrator. So there are some permissions that are the HR administrator does not have, but the senior HR partner has, such as candidates of my jobs, configuration questionnaire for business process, facilitation, person data, staffing actions, worker data, credit card, and the domain security policy permitting view access. So this is a modify access on the left side, this is a view access on the right side. So these permissions are missing for HR administrator when we compare it to senior HR partner. So business processes missing from HR partner are listed here. Domain permissions missing from the senior HR partner, which are available with HR administrator, are listed here. And then the business processes as well. And then below that are the common domain security policies and common business process types. So it gives you a side-by-side comparison of two security groups. Similarly, you can also do a comparison of two accounts. Say Yuli and say Logan. So first we did it for the security groups, HR admin and senior HR partners. Similarly, we can do it for workers as well. You might come into a challenge where one of the workers is able to run a report or a task and the other worker is not. So you can do a comparison and see which are the security groups are missing from one of the workers, the roles, and the security group from worker two, and the roles, and then the common security groups that they both have. So, some of the common security task names and reports, action summary for security groups. And it's another way to see all the domains and business processes that a group has access to. Senior page. So what security policies do they have? Count of secured items, the number of user interface tasks, the number of instance set for each domain security policies, and business process policies as well. So absence case event, enter an absence case for worker, functionality time off and leave. Allowed initiating action is create absence case, close absence case, revise absence case, and allowed actions are listed here like approve, cancel, correct, rescind, and view all. View security for secureable item allows you to check how report tasks and fields are secured. For example, contact information. So I can see all the tasks related to contact information. You can see which functionality they reside in, and I can see the view security for that particular task. Then the reports, the data source, report tasks, functional areas, their security, report fields level security as well. You can see what is the security, who can see it. What is the business object? What is the category, description, related business object, and report field? Then the data source filters. Then the data sources itself. Student contact information, description, primary business object, type, categories, functional area, and the security for that particular functional area. If I need to make changes, I can click on the three dots, go to domains, and then edit security policy permissions. To determine which domain in a particular item is in use, view the security for securable item report, which we just ran. To see which security group provides a particular user access to a particular task, use the security analysis for action report. This is not enabled in this tenant. Security action summary for security groups. Say a senior So the action summary we've already seen in the past. So security policies and business process policies for this particular security group and all their business process details and the security policy details. Even if I click on this file, I can see the specific UI tasks that are part of this particular domain. Instance set, employee compensation event, get compensation changes, change add calculated plans. So maintain functional areas. You can view, activate various functional areas such as advanced compensation, recruiting, benefits, innovation services. We already ran this report, but let's see, maintain functional. Here you can enable and disable your domains, select, enable and disable your solutions within the functional area, see the domain, included domains, see the included business processes. So some common security task names and reports are secured items in multiple domains. So say workers, for example, is a securable type is class, and then it is part of all these domains. Integration build, manage project plan, manage work team, personal data, revise steps, self-service, current staffing information, learning, setup, then setup general, setup benefits, special data maintenance, workers data, public worker reports. So there would be few secured items that would dice across or slice across multiple domains. Dependence is part of self-service benefit election, setup benefits, worker data beneficiaries independent, and worker data payroll interface. So with this report, we can see which secured items are residing in multiple domain areas or multiple domains. So that's a huge list, 21,138 secured items. So domain security policies for functional areas, we've seen this report. We select a functional area, say content or staffing. So here we can see all the parent policy and parent-child policies, and then set up the permissions for those policies as well. If I click on the securable actions, I can see all the actions available in this policy as well, and the securable reporting items as well, if I would like to see. Domain security policy changed within time range or business process security policy changes within time range. So if I'd like to see all the changes between a given time range for domain security or business processes, I can see them. I can set up a time, say from April 1st till July 31st. Changes to security group. Follow the domain security policies, the last change, and who changed it. Similarly, business process security. Say June 1st till, and I can see the business processes as to when it was last changed and by which user. So domain security policies with pending changes. So if you have any domain security policies which have changes has been applied, but it is not activated as yet. So these are the domain security policies with pending changes by security administrator who would either activate it or ignore it. Depends as to what is the status. But you can see the domain security policies with pending changes and view history and the related action menu of the domain security policy. Domain security policy. I can either look at it from here or I can open up, say, rollback, activate previous security timestamp. If I apply a change and I'm not okay with the behavior of the change, so I can activate the previous security timestamp. So whatever changes that I applied with activate pending security policy changes, I can activate the previous timestamp from what I just applied. And here would be the list of all the activations of previous activation of security policy changes. So view security for securable items allows you to find which security groups have access to this task. We've already gone through this. Then I can see the tasks, what functionality to decide in, and I can look at the security of that. Run the view security for securable item report for the items and domains in item column below. Fill in the security policy, whether it's a domain or a business process, security policy, and then the functionality for each item. Notice the first few items are already filled in an example. So we can run this as an assignment. So the domain items, security policy, domain or business process area, and functional areas. So let's try to do this as an assignment for us. The report name is View Security for Securable Items. And let's say about 10 different areas that you can think of. And let's list down in a table.
So what is Expresso?
Expressos are reports that are delivered by Workday. And you cannot make a copy of those. You cannot make changes to those reports.
Okay.
All right. Would you guys like to do this task right now? Or you'd like to do it after the session? I think let's do it after the session. So next could be run the security analysis for action report and enter the combination of action and account listed below. Fill in which security groups allowed the users to access the item. So run this report, security analysis for action. Action is home, say change benefits, which account, and what security groups they're part of. Functional area reports view the top-down view of the domain structure in Workday. Find out which groups have access to view emergency contacts of workers. So let's open the functional area report. And our task is say which groups have access to view emergency contact of workers. Whatever security table manages access to emergency contacts. So my emergency contacts for workers, emergency contacts. So my are for self-use, for workers, profile view, edit, alternate energy contacts, emergency contacts for roles. So emergency contact for workers, edit the security, domains, edit security policy permissions, and we would like to give view access to managers. So I give access to 3 manager groups for view only, and say I press OK. After that, what do I need to do?
Activate the pending changes.
Correct. So your changes have been saved, but are not yet in effect. So
make it active.
Pending security policy changes. Give my comment. Change emer. It will take the system's time. So at this point, for example, the current security evaluation movement is this, and the proposed security evaluation movement is this. So this was the last one that was activated. This is the proposed one. So as soon as we press submit and confirm, the new movement will be, or the last movement would be this moment. Yes, so if you need to say go to the previous security moment, you'll have to keep a note of this. It is a security process. And then it'll give me all the domain security policies that are included in this change. And then it'll give me the business process policies that are being impacted with this current change that I'm activating. You're giving domain security policy, making domain security policy changes for permissions to a policy or a child policy for either a report or task or integration permissions, for view or modify or get input permissions in the domain security policy, or in the business process policies, you're giving permission for an initiation, action, review, or any kind of task in a business process that you are giving authorization or allowance or revoking the authorization or allowance to. So after you activate the policy, and if that does not work, that particular task or that particular object is not visible or the changes cannot be applied, then yes, you do have a problem. But if the policy is implemented correctly, then the task or function or object that you would like to give permissions to, it should work. Like we saw the domain policy, security policies history. What changes were made in these reports? For example, the third bullet, domain security policy change within time range or business process security policies change within time range. So you can use this report and see what changes were made. Not directly, like there won't be a snapshot of self-audit as to why this person is not able to do it. See, for every domain policy and its child policy, it is a combination of multiple objects related to that functional area or that domain. So you give permissions on specific objects or specific child policies, and within the policies, you give specific permissions to specific areas. Either you give it at a parent level policy or a child level policy.
Mhm.
And the permissions are given to security groups, not individuals.
Right.
So you have to backtrack it. We gave access to managers for the domain security, and it is also activated the pending changes that were already there. Now, if I see there are no more pending domain security policies with pending changes, we've activated all of them. Earlier, we had a list of changes that needed to be activated. So we've seen the securable actions and securable reporting items in a domain security policy for functional areas. For example, if I click on this securable reporting items, the report field will show up here, candidate from worker, and the securable actions. Domain security policy, okay, remove work location access. So task 1, edit domain security policy permission for public groups. Sign in as Logan McNeil, run the domain security policy for functional area report, select contact information. Click worker data, contact information, say worker data, worker data. It's already probably removed, for example. There are child domains for various types, click on worker data, work address, self-service work address. The child domain is inheriting permissions. Both all employees and delivery have view permission. We saw it in the prior activity. Brady has access to view any worker's address contact information. Employee as self, contingent worker as self, pre-contingent worker as self, retiree and terminee as well. And we want to click override parent permission button again. Click in the side of the first row and click X to remove all employees and all contingent workers as a security group and press OK. So, for example, contingent worker as self, pre-contingent worker as self, and pre-employee as self. So now only the employee as self, retiree as self, and terminee as self can make changes to work address. In fact, I want to remove terminee as self as well. So employee as self and retiree as self. And hence the security groups will be removed from this task permission. Again, it is saved, it is not activated as yet. So here you will see that it's still showing all the other security groups because the policy has not been activated as yet. Activate pending security policy changes. Now if I refresh the policy, now we will see that only 2 groups are left for the report and task permissions. For general security admin, use domain security policy functional area report to view the domain's benefit functional areas, which security groups have permission to the self-service benefits. So there are a few activities and examples. So I would like you to do the activities after the session. Let's look at the examples. So we need to provide an HR partner role to an employee, Jane, for the sales organization. This group already exists. What steps needs to be taken? The first step you should do is you should verify that the HR partner has view edit permissions to job, compensation, personal info, exit interview, auxiliary, and all other domains which access is needed. In order to initiate or approve the transaction, this group must also be added be part of the business process security policy for all the transaction business process Jane needs to initiate or be involved in, such as BP job, the change job, BP terminations, BP one-time payment, etc. Jane should be assigned an HR partner at the top most sales organization. From orgs related action, click on roles and add a screenshot. Do this exercise.
Sorry, what does it mean by add a screenshot?
Take a screenshot with a snipping tool or print screen and add it to your PPT or Word document or whatever you're using to record your changes. Sales. Very good roles. See, you've given access to Jill for HR partner. Take a screenshot of this page. Other example could be copy Shane's access, who's an HR partner, to another username, Daffy Duck. You can also navigate Jane's security profile using the action button from the employee profile page and note down what access she currently has and to what organization has an HR partner role been assigned. Assign them to Daffy, navigate Daffy security profile from the action icon. Would you like me to do this for you, or would you like to do it yourself and try it out? Actions, security profile, and you can navigate the Jane security profile on the employee profile page and note down what access she currently has. From the action buttons on the employee profile page, note down what access she has currently. Each partner role has been assigned. So because she is a controller, she would not have HR. So let's look at Logan. Security profile, view role assignment from workers position, say role HR partner. She has these roles, assignable role enabled instances, assigned, security group is HR, Duck, or say Yuli. Security, add remove roles. Copy role assignments from Logan. So these are all existing roles that are already available as compared to Logan, and these are all the other roles that are being copied from Logan McNeil. There are 1,611 roles. So say if I submit. So what we did was we copied from Logan's, who is the HR partner for another organization, and we wanted to copy it to Daffy Duck. So we went to Logan's profile, looked at all the roles that she had. We opened up the Yuli Bowls, and we copied all the role assignments from Logan to Yuli as well. Says overall process is still in progress, it's ongoing. And while we wait, it is doing it on the back end. So from the Daffy security profile as shown on the previous screenshot, click on assign roles, add remove to assign HR partner group, and add other roles. So another way of doing it is say so as we copied all the roles from Logan McNeil, so they would be similar to Yuli Bowles now. For example, let's go to say Steve Morgan or Joy Banks. Action. security profile, view role assignment to worker position, joy banks. That's okay. Say, let's add a specific role. I don't want to copy it from anyone right now, so I want to assign a specific role. I think it should be in the list compensation compensation pool manager. And if I like to assign one role or added a single role, I can do that as well. Now, Yuli has the role of compensation pool manager as well. So I saw it here, and I would like to add it to this person as well. So here we can remove the options from Defitech's current roles if they're no longer needed, and select which role she should get from Jane and hit submit. So to assign any user-based security, assign user-based groups menu from our security profile page and enter the name of the security group. So if I go to Yuli Bows again, so earlier we assigned role-based roles. Now let's assign a security group specifically to Yuli Bows. Assign user-based group. Station, administrator, regional, and system. And now these groups have been assigned to Yuli Bows. Or in these groups, Yuli has been added to these groups. Assign roles that remove. For example, let's get go to Yuli Bows. For example, I would like to remove these first 5 roles. Or these roles from Yuli Bows. I select on the remove check mark, click submit. And now these roles have been removed from Yuli Bows profile. You're not changing actionable items. You're not changing policy changes. You're not changing child policies, access levels. But you're adding and removing roles or adding and removing people from security groups. For that, you do not require activation of domain security policy changes levels or business process security policy changes.